The After Credits Cast, brought to you by our supporters on patreon.com/evacstation. Every time you hear the word quantum, take a drink.
Hey there, Internet. Ryan here to remind you that our show is always in a state of quantum flux. We never know if we're going to be here the next day or not. What we need is quantum stability. How do you get that? Well, with quantum stabilizers and quantum rods, of course. But we can only do that if you go to patreon.com/evacstation. For less than the cost of a quantum tunnel, you can help support our show and get us the funding we need to stabilize our quantum particles. God damn it! That hold our show together. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. And remember, not to drink when you quantum drive.
I swear that it's in the air, leaving me floating forever into infinity. I can see the colors dance when I close my eyes. Witnessing mysterious design, I can feel my body rise.
Welcome to the After Quantum Cast. Wait, no. The Quantum Credits? Why not both? Whatever it is, we're here live from the depths of the microverse, which Marvel has felt the need to call the Quantum Realm. You think it's in relation to subspace? Let's ask our guest here and find out about these complicated scientific questions. My guest, my partner, my co-host this week is none other than Ant Metters.
I don't know what an ant sounds like. That's the closest approximation I have.
You're kind of onto the District 9 alien a little bit. And I'm your always lovable host, Aaron Quantum, and welcome to the After Credits Cast. Just a reminder for everybody that you can go down to our links in the description down below. Go to Patreon, YouTube, Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or tune in for your podcast platform of choice. You can also follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, or Twitter. And I believe we have an email. Ryan, if someone wanted to try to reach us here in the depths of this quantum space, where could they find us?
Oh, that is quantum cat. Damn it! Sorry, got something stuck in my throat. That is evacstation@gmail.com.
I feel like you're a little got something going on over there, Ryan. You okay over there?
I'm trying to work it out. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. Hopefully this podcast, hopefully our subscribers out there and our followers will be very kind to donate to our Patreon. For every dollar you guys spend, we'll be able to get another quantum particle for this show to help hold things together and maybe get Ryan the help he needs.
Please help me hold together, please.
Well, while we're waiting for those dollars to just fly on in, like those guys in the PBS fundraisers do, we're going to head over to our first segment, which is the What You Watchin' segment. Ryan, what have you been watching?
Well, I am in the midst of a grand rewatch, actually, of none other than, of course, Game of Thrones. I have to do this rewatch because my dear sweet girlfriend was watching Game of Thrones, but then as the hype around it got so built up, she decided to kind of back away from it because she was really tired of talking to everybody about it.
I understand that.
So she stopped watching it. But then, of course, when she was teaching in Korea, season 7 came out, so she figured she might as well watch it there. She has not seen season 6 at all.
I mean, that seems like it'd be important to see for a narrative-driven show.
Actually, no, scratch that. I'm sorry. She's missed 5 and 6.
Ooh, that's
jumped right back into 7.
Doubly problematic.
And decided, I'm just gonna watch it. And I'm like, no, it's 2 seasons. So yeah, we're in the midst of a grand rewatch, and I'm coming to remember that this is a really good fucking show. Like, it's not just popular, and it's not just a good story. Like, it's a really good show, and like, it's very well made and well acted. You know, I'm reliving like some of the greatest moments, and so yeah, I've that, and it's a lot.
I've stayed clear of Game of Thrones, not out of dislike, just that there's so much hype around it and so much stuff going on. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna hold off until the show's done, and then maybe I'll jump back in, just because I know that with the author not fully completing the books, and with the show diverging from it a lot and doing its own thing, I don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna be like, I'll sit back, I'll wait. When it's done, I'll jump in. Yeah, I'll jump in that stew.
So, as someone who's both read the books and watched the show, I can actually say
that's the consensus I've been hearing.
And it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing against Martin except for his writing speed. He writes very well, but the thing is, he writes in a tone like. It's like a history of Westeros. He writes
so
it like
it's a little dry, then you might say.
And people who are really, really into that, it's a little dry. It's a little dry. And people who are really into that stuff are eating it up. And of course, with that type of like setting, he can lay like all of these hooks and these plot lines that are really, really subtle, but people love kind of delving into it and really pulling things apart. The show did a good job of making it like much more cinematic, and it definitely stays true to the show up until maybe around the fourth and fifth season. Things kind of start diverging, and that's mostly because they outpaced him with the books. They have the bare bones of what has to happen, like for the series to complete. But after that, they kind of do their own thing. And there are some missteps, but a lot of it's really, really good. So I would encourage you to not let the hype stop you, and give it a watch, because it's really
I hear you. I think the other reason I stayed out of it for a while too is because first the episodes are really long too, and I'm someone who's like, I like to watch short, bite-sized things and just roll with it.
That's fair.
So it's not that there's anything against this show. I mean, I just finished Daredevil, which I'll talk about here in a few episodes, because, I got words for that one. But not this week. I got other stuff I got queued up here. Other stuff queued up. So for my week, actually, since we're doing a very superhero comedy kind of movie, I thought, why not do a comedy show? So Amanda and I watched the one season that's available on Netflix, Working Moms. It is a Canadian show about... Yep, it's a Canadian show about this, I guess you'd call it a... is it Lamaze? No, it's not Lamaze class. It's like a Mommy and Me class. But you focus on, like, 3 or 4 different moms and their kids they just had. And all their different, like, little stories and how they intertwine with one another. And some of these gals are fucking crazy. But that's where the comedy comes from. And you have, like... 4 different plot threads, I think, going on, maybe 3 or 4, but they're all really good, they're all fun. It's only 1 season right now on Netflix, but from what I understand, it's ongoing in Canada, so we should be getting more episodes soonish, but I don't know, if you want something that's short, sweet, and just has a lot of good laughs, it's a good episode, or a good series, sorry. Working Moms, check it out, everybody. Good stuff.
Alright, yeah.
And tune in next week when I talk about, what did I write down for next week? Another show that's also very short and just ended 2 weeks ago for me, but for you guys it'll be like a month ago. So we'll find out about that here in a little bit. But, Ryan, let's get on to the return of a series we have not done for quite some time. Yes. You thought it was over. You thought the countdown had completed. But time and space are a little less stable here in the quantum realm, and we're back with the Countdown to Infinity. Dun dun dun. Feels good to say that again. Today, on the Countdown, We're discussing Ant-Man and the Wasp, which released in 2018, directed by Peyton Reed and written by Chris McKenna, Eric Sommers, Paul Rudd. He actually wrote for this one too. Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari. That's a lot of fucking writers in this room. This film would go on to make a worldwide gross of $622,674,000. Compared to other MCUs, this is number 15, right behind Doctor Strange and just above Thor: Dark World. So towards the bottom half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It is ranked number 9 for 2018. Ryan, you want to guess what it's just above and what it's just below?
2018. I don't know just below. I don't know what just below. You know I'm really bad at this stuff, man.
Well, I'll tell you what beat it. Mission Impossible Fallout is the one that's ranked above it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Care to take a guess at what's number 10?
Number 10. You got me, man. I don't even know what else came out that year. Shit.
It would be the currently lowest grossing Star Wars film, Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Solo? Oh my god. I still haven't seen it yet.
I actually bought it for cheap, like for $5 from Family Video, because they did their like little online sale for their used copies. Haven't seen it yet, but I figure when we do our Star Wars season, I might jump into that real quick. We won't do it, I don't think, but I wouldn't mind just checking it out. So I figure seeing other Star Wars movies will put me in the mood for it.
Yeah, I want to see it I want to see it for the 5 minutes of Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian.
That's like the only reason to see it, isn't it?
Yeah, he's so damn cool.
There's also a spoiler at the end that, from what I hear about. I'm not going to spoil it here because we're not talking about that movie. But I hear there's an appearance of a certain character near the end that is interesting. I want to see that too, but I don't want to spoil anything more than that. So,
okay.
And for those who are wondering why I can watch spoiler or look at spoilers, you guys can't. I am comfortable spoiling movies for me because sometimes. I'll admit to you, Ryan. Sometimes I think I need to see need to know a spoiler to understand if I'm going to like it or not. Because sometimes they hide something that might be interesting to me, and without context, a spoiler is not that big a deal to me. I don't think so. I don't know. That's just me.
That's fair. That's fair. I never thought of it that way. May I ask what the spoiler is supposedly for? Or is that in and of itself a spoiler?
It's kind of a spoiler, but I'll give you I'll tease it here. It's the villain of this movie who ties into a character we've seen in previous films.
Wait, who ties into what?
And to be more specific, there's a villain in Solo who is actually made an appearance in a previous film before. And so that itself is a spoiler to some people. And since we haven't talked about it in the podcast, and since I don't want to talk about it in a non-Star Wars discussion, I don't want to, spoil it for anyone listening who just happened across this Ant-Man podcast. But yeah, it's something that I found was interesting.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting little choice they made. I'm like, okay, I want to see how this plays out. So that's something I'm going to check out when I get a chance. Before we get too distracted with Star Wars, the cast of Ant-Man and Wasp includes Judy Greer, Lawrence Fishburne, Douglas, Michael Pena, Walton Goggins, Evangeline Lilly, and our favorite dad, Paul Rudd. No awards, so we'll see what Ryan's got over in the Fun Facts Science Corner.
I have some fun quantum facts for you here. First and foremost, the ghost in the movie is actually male in the original comics and is part of Iron Man's rogues gallery, never actually crossing paths with Ant-Man. Now, his powers also come from his suit rather than the quantum realm. Makes sense since he's one of Iron Man's rogues. He eventually became an anti-hero after joining a team of superhumans called the Thunderbolts. I'm still waiting for a Thunderbolts movie.
I'm itching for that movie, man. It'll be great.
Man, if they do it, it will blow up. I swear.
Can we get James Gunn back for that since he's doing Suicide Squad?
If you want to hear our thoughts,
I know that
wound
is still salty for a lot of people.
If you want to hear our thoughts on the James Gunn debate, please feel free to check out that podcast. My opinions haven't really changed. But
I feel like I'm still I stand with Gun. I stand with Gun. I'll go with that.
last but not least, the alien-looking organisms in the microscopic realm on the way to the quantum realm are actually water bears, tardigrades, which have been found in the most extreme environments on Earth, including hot springs, glaciers, the top of the Himalayas, and deep sea trenches. They can go dormant without food or water for decades and survive incredible temperatures, pressures, radiation toxicity, and even several days in space.
We shall harness their DNA and make ourselves immortal. Thank you, Ryan. And we'll get to some initial thoughts here real quick. I'll jump in real quick. I'll admit, with Ant-Man and Wasp, I was a little dismissive of this one when it first came out, and even maybe a little bit still now. Not hating on it, just a little dismissive. And it's off the heels of Infinity War. And you gotta admit, that does smack a little bit of being underwhelming. It's still fun at moments, and it's a lighthearted, fun story. But you know what, guys? It does fail to distract me from the fact that Spider-Man is dead.
That's fair. I wouldn't say I was dismissive of it. I knew going in what it was. Especially since it came literally right off the heels of Infinity War. This was the comic relief to help pull you away from the fact that several beloved characters just turned to ash. We needed something a little less fucking weighty and dramatic to deal with, so we had Ant-Man staging fake, fun heists with his daughter and cardboard slides and just silly nonsense. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Anytime Walter Goggins is in a movie, I'm just automatically all in. I know I'm going to have a grand-ass time watching him. He's so great. Yeah, all in all, I wasn't expecting anything mind-blowing, just something nice and fun and lighthearted, and I think it delivered exactly what it was going for. So, hey, kudos.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not hating on the movie. I did have fun with it still, but it like I said, it to me, it's just like.
But Spider-Man is still dead.
I knew where I was going into it. It's just, like I said, Spider-Man's dead. You can't just leave me like this. You can't.
You still killed this poor child.
Speaking of dead Spider-Man, let's jump into this. Let's jump into this movie about Ant-Man. Because I got a synopsis for you. Here we go.
It's all right. I think Spider-Man. I'm sorry. I think Spider-Man still exists in the quantum realm, so don't worry. He's there somewhere.
We'll find him out there. We'll find him in his quantum realm. Here we go. Hank Pym tells Hope that her mom may still be alive after all. A revelation we sort of came to in the first Ant-Man. They set to work on a quantum tunnel to save her from the quantum realm. Meanwhile, Scott and his daughter, Casey, are having a home arrest play date. With only 2 days left away from his release from home arrest, it isn't long until Scott has a quantic dream where he is forced to make choices as Janet Van Dyne, but none of them really mean anything in the end. Damn you, David Cage! Scott calls Hank and tells him that he dreams of electric wasps. Hank's response? Kidnap Scott and hope he is a secret to unlocking the quantum realm. Yep, that makes sense. I do that too. Hank and Hope are still mad about the events of Civil War. Understandable, as they only just met Scott before Civil War happened, and before he took that quantic leap into Captain America's arms. They go to meet some dude in a suit to get some quantum MacGuffin, with Wasp kicking their ass this time. But their meet and greet is interrupted by the Merchant du Joie, Ghost, with the ability to quantum phase through things and recreate romantic scenes involving pottery. But the heroes escape with the quantum bullshit, and Ghost must restore her HP in a Vita chamber, having stolen Pym's shrunken lab. The heroes have to go find the lab, and they go to Lewis for help. And he does fuck all, so they go to an old friend of Pym's, who he also hates, Bill. Sounds a little familiar. He says that if they bullshit some regulator, they can create a quantum tracker. So Scott and Hope break into the school to reclaim the old suit that Casey, unknowingly took to school. They quantum track the quantum held by the quantum phasing Ghost. Hope guys are still sober over there. But before they get out, she knocks them all out.
That was the waterfall round, guys.
That was a waterfall round. We hear her tragic backstory, mildly interrupted by a flat phone call joke, before the heroes cleverly. They go to some woods to enlarge the lab and finish their work, but Scott has to go home to hide from the cops. As Lewis spilled the metaphorical quantum beans, Scott plays it off, but both Hope and Hank are captured by the feds. They escape and go quantum track their lab for the final showdown. While Hank forces his way into the lab and into the quantum realm with his short 2-hour window, a car chase happens, ending with Scott in the lake/river to recover the lab while the feds are on the way to get him. The lab returns to normal size, and both Bill and Ghost prepare to steal the Casey energy. Sorry, my mistake, the quantum energy. When Hank returns with his not-so-dead wife, they make it back, and she does a Deus Ex Quantum's ghost, so her quantum phasing is no longer a quantum problem. Some trickery allows Scott to evade the feds, and everyone saying quantum as many times as a tongue twister. And everyone has a happy ending, except for the dudes in the suits who were arrested. I guess, their day wasn't too good. It's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, and something about Ant-Man revisiting the quantum realm with a mini quantum tunnel to collect quantum particles to keep Ghost from quantum phasing again. People just turn to dust, and Ant-Man is trapped in the quantum realm. Or is he? Find out in 2 weeks when we discuss Avengers Endgame. Dun dun dun. Man, that was hard to get through right there at the end.
Yeah, it was all them quantums. Quantum. Sorry, guys, that was the last bit.
Get under waterfall around going in there. So, Ryan, I guess this leads me to my first question. Do they really use the quantum with everything just to make it sound more sciencey? I feel like that's what they did a little bit.
I feel like they did a little bit too. However, the idea of quantum physics is actually really theoretical and can be applied to goddamn near anything. I actually watched this show, this YouTube series called Because Science, that actually did a bit on quantum mechanics when Ant-Man and the Wasp actually came out, because I think they were sponsored by Marvel to actually do that episode, which was really, really cool. And the possible applications of quantum energy are so ridiculous that it actually could, I'm stretching the word could here, be applied to a lot of this stuff. So do I think they use the word quantum, a lot in this movie? Yes. But I think it was at least partially, it had its toe dipped into scientific theory enough to give it just a breath of authenticity.
That's fair. What was I gonna say? I remember there was this moment in the movie where even you guys just put the word quantum in front of everything, and to me it's like, oh man, he'd be good at CinemaSins.
Yes, I did. That's exactly what I thought when I watched it again. It was just yep.
But no, it's a joke that I think they played up for laughs, but I think they may have gone a little too far. I'm not saying they should have stuck to rule of threes, because, if you're going to do quantum stuff throughout the movie, you can't just limit it to, 3 and hope that'll be enough. But, I don't know. I feel like part of it might just be that...
the whole basis of the movie is, hyping up the quantum realm and, the idea that quantum energy and its manipulation can be the key to, some crazy next stage of evolution for humanity. So, yeah, they're gonna possibly overdo it with the quantums again.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna tone down the quantums a little bit for you guys. No promises, but we're just a little bit. So
they're
Ryan,
taking sips now.
Taking sips. Do you think this lighthearted movie after the Avengers romp we just had works? Would you prefer to just get to Captain Marvel right away? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this movie's placement in the timeline works for you? What are your thoughts?
I I definitely do. I think the guys who are planning the timeline absolutely know what they're doing. We saw this same thing happen right after Ultron. A big like dramatic event happened, but Marvel wants to keep putting out movies, but at the same time not overload you, so that it's like drama into huge action into another drama. You gotta switch it up a little bit. So they give you some breathing room with Ant-Man, especially because especially when they bookend Ant-Man with like really serious movies. Like, unless I'm mistaken, it was like Ultron, Ant-Man, then Civil War, wasn't it?
Yes, you would be correct.
Yeah. So Ultron, Ant-Man, nice and kind-hearted, and then fucking Civil War, So, the same theory applies with Infinity War, and then we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is fun. It's got a lot of action in it, but it's not too heavy. It's just a lot of jokes and what have you. Something to get you enjoying, like really enjoying and being lighthearted. Then I got Captain Marvel, which we'll get into later on, but was super big action. And then finally we hit the finish line with Endgame. I think their placement of a lighthearted one in the midst of all these big movies makes a lot of sense. And it's a way to kind of keep moviegoers from getting fatigued from all of the huge, dour Marvel plots.
I will say that I don't mind a more lighthearted comedy kind of film after something serious. I think, and I'm gonna be contrary to what we've said before, Ryan. But I think Iron Man after Avengers that worked. Or Iron Man 3. I think Ant-Man after Ultron worked, but I also was not the biggest fan of Ultron, so it was like a step up for me a little bit. Yeah. And I think that this one tonally works, but I think that this movie should have. I don't know. I think it should have been more important. Is what I feel like more than anything. I feel like this movie is definitely like a very much a B story, a side story for what was going on during Infinity War. And it's true that the events seem to take place
Definitely.
Side by side, and the fact it's so disconnected from me kind of makes this movie feel like it's almost unnecessary. Not that it's bad, just that I didn't necessarily have to watch this, save for the end credits bit where it obviously connects to the rest of the other movies, or will in Endgame. It just feels sort of like, oh hey, you know what? You enjoyed your big full dinner. Go outside, lift a doggy bag for you, and it's on your car. It's like they're not even giving you dessert. It's just whatever's left over. That's on your car. That's all it is.
I feel like it was more of a light dessert, like a light little piece of cake. Not to overstuff you, but just like a nice sweet thing to keep you sated until the next meal.
Maybe, but they didn't give you the cake from the restaurant you got your main dinner at. They told you to go over to the Dairy Queen next door. Sorry, Baskin Robbins.
Touche.
So no, it's not hating on this movie, but I definitely wish there'd been a little more world building. Even if you just had Hawkeye in it for 5 minutes, be like, "Hey man, I hear you need help," and he's like, "No, I'm good, man. I'll see you later," or something stupid. I don't know. Just I don't know. It feels like there's something not there that could have been there.
Yeah, I will agree with you in the fact that this movie feels like so tonally different. It is a little bit. It's a little jarring. It's a little too disconnected from the main story that they're telling. They are going for comedy, and they're telling the story of pretty much the everyman who's really smart and clever and quick-witted, but he's the normal man who just happened to fall into superheroing. And so we went back to him to take our minds off the fact that despite watching Earth's mightiest heroes do their goddamn thing, they still got fucking smacked around So I mean,
Spider-Man.
I get it. Mr. Stark, I can't. I want to watch Infinity War before I go see Endgame one more time, but I don't know if I can.
I'm gonna tangent here real quick, or derail, I guess, or what's the word I want to use here? I don't know. There's something. But we took Amanda's little cousin to go see Captain Marvel because we thought, big superheroine movie might be inspiring for her. Might be something she'd enjoy seeing. And she had a good time, as far as I could tell. But we're going to take her to see Endgame with us too, but she's not seen the other movies. So we're going to show her Infinity War this weekend coming up when she stays the night.
Ooh.
You're in Endgame with us.
How you do?
I think it's possible, and it's fair. I don't know if she'll even pay attention to these movies, but if
how old is she?
She is 13.
17?
13.
Oh, 13?
Yep. But I feel like she's got a severe case of ADD, so I feel like she'll definitely be distracted during the movie with other shit. So
that's fair.
And again, it's a little exaggeration, but she does. She gets on weird tangents sometimes, and it's funny, entertaining to talk about sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, getting back to the movie. Okay, so the villains of the movie: Birch, the dude in the suit I mentioned, and Ghost, the quantum phasing girl. What do you think about them? Are they good? Are they bad? Do they work? Do they not work? I actually have something I want to say about them, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, please. No. I've been talking like forever. You can go first.
I want to say that I absolutely love the combination. I don't know if I like either one individually, but I remember listening to a podcast not long ago, and I can't remember what fucking show or movie they were talking about, so I might be talking my ass here. But I love a show or movie where you have not one villain and one hero, but one hero, one villain, and then another villain, and they're all kind of working, they're working together and separately at the same time. Like, you have both villains with their own goal, and they kind of work together, but they aren't working together, so whatever their common goal is, they're still going to fight each other for it, and the hero's kind of thrown in the mix as well. It's such a very chaotic, beautiful mess, and I love just how it kind of comes together. And the fact they're using two smaller villains to make that work helps. I think bigger villains could also do it too, but I think that neither one of these villains could carry the movie by themselves. So having them work together, or having them work side by side, not together, in this movie, kind of does a very nice little combination, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think this movie does something different from Ant-Man, which was it was a heist film. Like the overall focus of the movie was building and enacting this ridiculous ass heist involving ants. And so you got to develop the villain a bit in there because they needed somebody to fight at the end, and Yellow Jacket was hilarious in his insanity, so I loved what they did with him, but they didn't have to focus on him. But with the story that they're telling with Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's more just like a kind of a free-for-all with like these three individual groups having like wanting to get this particular MacGuffin, and so they're all kind of tripping over themselves. You have to do a little more work on the other two parties involved in a movie like that. I do agree with your assessment that neither of them could handle the story on their own. I think Birch, Walter Goggins, bless his soul, Boyd Crowder. No, I love that man so much. I think he brings so much personality to the role, but at the end of the day, he's this guy in a suit that just wants this MacGuffin so that he can make a whole bunch of money on the burgeoning technology. It's not too it's not too terrifying.
It's an Iron Man
Ghost, on the other hand, it is. Ghost, on the other hand,
who actually is an Iron Man
this
villain.
crazy ass power, fucking phasing through things, existing in a state of quantum flux, being able to fucking pretty much short range teleport and like do crazy shit. It was almost like similar applications of Ant-Man and the Wasp's power, only it was applied differently and more and like in a clever way. So it's really cool for her to see like action wise, and like she had a big threat meter, but a threat meter, what the fuck? She had a big threat like factor to her, but like
no, that threat meter is really high on my HUD. I can see it now.
I'm pulling so much aggro from this fucking ghost, man. My threat's like off the goddamn charts.
Someone get the Winchesters.
God damn it. But no, I think the combination of both of them really played a great role in it. They kept everybody on each other's on each other's toes. I think that it was really really cool. I think the tragic backstory for Ghost was just a little overplayed, just a little bit. Like that, 10-minute long tragic backstory while they were tied up was maybe a little overdone, but still. It was pretty good.
And what disappointed me about that, too, is that had they just talked to Hank about it, like, used words instead of, like, violence and thievery, he would have been like, yeah, no, I'll help you fix it up because I'm a scientist and all that shit.
I don't know about that because Hank Pym is dick. Also, him and Bill, are stupid rival, ridiculously dumb rivals. So them going to each other for help was I know only in the most dire of circumstances. And I think it speaks to Bill's character that he tried to do this whole goddamn thing by himself instead of going to the person who may know even more about the quantum realm than he does. So yeah, I mean, I think they could have used that to explore Bill's character a little better instead of kind of having Ghost carry all of the tragic backstory and all of the development on her shoulders with that extra what is the word?
Extrapolate?
When you no exposition. Damn.
Oh,
with all the all the exposition.
Did you just become Bo over there?
Shut up! You take that back. You take that back.
I'm just kidding, Bo. I love you, man.
We love you, man. We can't wait to have you back on. I think they could have done it a little better, but still, I thought it was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think Marvel's really gotten into a string of sympathetic villains, and we'll get to that here in Captain Marvel very shortly. And I don't know. I feel like it's a hit and miss. I think that it works for some villains. I think it worked for Killmonger. I think it worked for Vulture, and it arguably works for Thanos. But that's because we spent a whole movie with him, so we're kind of given a reason to sympathize with him. He was essentially his own protagonist. But I feel like we didn't earn that for Ghost. I feel like she was sort of framed up to be a standard villain, so to speak.
Yeah,
and I think I'll have a similar argument for the next film, but we'll get to that more later.
I think you're right, exactly. But I think the problem that stems with that is that it's really hard to empathize with Ghost. It's hard to put yourself in her own shoes. Killmonger's story really spoke to an entire subset of the country who could automatically say, yes, I know exactly what he's talking about. Same thing with Vulture. How many blue-collar working-class dads have lost jobs to big corporations, and they're like, guys, I need to feed my family, and then a big multi-million-dollar operation comes in and says, sorry, we actually swiped the contract from you. Fuck off. Those villains had, really sympathetic and empathetic roots that people could latch onto, and I think that's what makes a good villain great. Mm-hmm. So I think Ghost's story was just a little too far-fetched for her to be really sympathetic. You can understand where she's coming from, but
not everyone's gonna, be in a lab
really
one day and explode in a
shoes.
quantum explosion and suddenly become a ghost. Not everyone's gonna go through that. Patrick Swayze did
yeah,
once.
not everybody exists as a fucking Schrodinger's girl that's alive and dead at the same time. Yeah, not everybody has to deal with that. I'm sorry.
I mean, she should really go hang out with Patrick Swayze. I think the two of them would get along. Or Bruce Willis, even.
Take a pottery class or some shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What was I gonna say? So, okay, next one I got here. Do you want more quantum realm in future movies, or do you, or what more of it would you want to see, even? I feel like we're gonna get a little bit.
I think
I feel like we're gonna get a little bit at least in Endgame, but I don't know beyond that is my thing.
Yes. I mean, the idea of, like, they hyped up the quantum realm so much that it's going to be part of the solution to
everything,
like to the problem of the snap and how to beat Thanos. So it makes perfect sense. But I feel like, and like the applications that we've seen of it are really, really cool. But I feel like the idea of like the quantum realm and quantum energy, sorry guys, it's so undefined that at this point it's like magic. So it's like I don't like and it's worse than magic though, because magic was explained in Doctor Strange, which I loved.
It's just really bad science.
It's not really bad science. It's ancient arcane science that are using forces that you can't comprehend yet. Sorry, I have my Doctor Strange defense cap on. Let me take that off. My bad.
There's one thing I can think of that I'd like to see though. So in the comics and in the cartoon show Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Ant-Man does develop a micro prison within the quantum realm. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing that come up once, and maybe do like a Prison Break movie with the villains coming out and he's got to figure out how to stop them or something. It's a one-off idea that would be really kind of fun to see.
It's honestly like if they make that into like the super prison, like that would be really I'm fairly certain that in Marvel Comics there is a super prison designed to be operated entirely shrunken by Hank Pym. I'm sure that's a thing.
Private prisons, man. It'll get you.
Bruh, too real. Get that realism out of my movie about quantum mechanics and ghosts and shit.
Well, speaking of being too real, Ryan, how do you think Ant-Man is going to return? We have theories, but what is your what do you think it's going to be?
I mean, like the idea that somehow being in the quantum realm protected him from the snap. It might be interesting, because the idea then would be that the quantum realm is essentially another universe, another reality that's so far removed from ours, yet completely within it, that the snap only worked on this reality as opposed to all other versions of reality. That's probably the line that they're gonna take, because then they're going to have to go into time vortexes, which they brought up towards the end of the movie there, to try and see if they can beat him in the past, and they're going to run into future other versions of themselves. I'm calling it, but yeah, I think that's like they're going to really play with the idea of A, the quantum realm being an entirely other universe, and B, multiple versions of reality that will hold the keys to beating Thanos, and that the only way they'll get there is through quantum states.
I think it'll be a mix of things. I don't think the quantum realm necessarily protected him, because here's the thing: the snap wipes out half of everything, and it wasn't necessarily by choice; it was just random chance. So randomly he could have been picked. But to go with that, though, the quantum realm's whole existing and not existing at the same time might have also played into that too. There's a bunch of things you could say about that for sure. So I'm not sold either way on that one, but we'll see what they do. But as for how he comes back, obviously they've made mention of time vortexes and other weird things. I don't know if that's a red herring or if it's literally something they're going to like play with or not. But it seems weird that for your post-credits sting where you see him trapped in there, that they would mention that and not do anything with it. So I think something's going to have to happen. And we see in the movie, or in the trailer, I guess, when Ant-Man comes back into Endgame, you see, what's his name, Captain America without his beard.
Yeah, like nobody actually knows that he's back. Yeah. I just got an idea of how it's going to happen.
Okay.
Because I personally think that we're going to see Doctor Strange all throughout Endgame. I think this because he was just sitting there fucking around with the time stone.
Oh,
and
you think he's gonna be like just in the background, like watching shit?
Like I don't know if he'll be in the background watching shit, but I think he could probably use the time stone to exist in different places at the same point in time. So I think that he was actually setting up like the way to actually get around the snap before they even fought Thanos. And one of the ways I think is that it's going to be Doctor Strange who actually pulls him out of the quantum realm, because we've seen the quantum realm first in not first, but we saw Stephen Strange get flung through the quantum realm when the Ancient One fucking opened his mind and sent him to the Shadow Realm. So I'm sure he can go there, and I'm sure it'll probably be Strange that breaks him out, because that's honestly the only other person who A, knows about the quantum realm and is still alive, technically, and B, the only one powerful enough to go there and get him out.
Maybe. I'm very curious how it's going to play out. There's a lot of theories going around right now, and we could spend all day talking about it, but that'd be a whole other podcast, and I got a few more questions to hit up. Got a few more questions. The first one I got here is, do you think Ghost will come back in a future film as an ally or a frenemy?
Yeah, I think you might get a
cameo,
like a little cameo. Yeah, I don't think she'll be like a major plot point ever again. I think she was a one-time villain for this movie. She did her job. Like we might pull her out every now and again, just be like, hey, there's Ghost. Like, there's that person, like, phasing through walls and, like, being invisible. What the fuck? And that's it.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I don't think she needs to be back in full force. I wouldn't mind, like, in a, like, final Ant-Man film, if they ever get to, like, doing a final one. Maybe she comes back to help out with something. Like, all the people he's helped out will come back to help him, maybe, or something. But that's as far as I'd go with it.
Maybe. Maybe.
What are your thoughts on so this movie got really heavy with the size changing, intermixing the size changing with the action back and forth over and over again. I think they did a really good job with that, like, especially during the car chase sequence. It was very imaginative. Like, I didn't expect it to be that, like, fucking all over the place, but they did really good work with it.
Yeah. I think so too. I thought it was really, really cool. Because, like, when people think of Ant-Man or Giant Man, Goliath, what have you, they just think of dude becomes the size of a building and beats on some other dude the size of a building. And that's cool. But the idea of somebody that can shrink his size and enlarge himself at will and can do that to other things, like, while also being, like, really combat technique savvy and like a really good fighter in general, that's pretty fucking boss. And I very much like what they did with it, so I hope they bring out more of that as well. The one actual point that I noticed is that during the fight, during Wasp's first like real outing, where you just get to see her wreck some guys in that hotel lobby and in the kitchen, the way they actually followed with the camera, I feel like they were playing with the focus a bit. That, like, it was hard to really focus on something because it kept like shrinking, and like it made it feel like you were actually there and were having a hard time keeping track of this person, like actually just zipping around and going crazy. I feel like the way they filmed it, as opposed to just only keeping it nice and clean and like CGI, but like actually adding that small imperfection to the film technique, actually did it, like took it really far. And the mileage that they got out of that sense of realism was really cool.
Yep. And I want to give a shout out to Evangeline Lilly for the Wasp portrayal. She did a great job with it. I'm hoping they can bring her back and really give her a character.
They did. I think she's one of those perfect casts, which is crazy because you don't get a whole bunch of Janet Van Dyne talk in the MCU, but when you get that person who like is a hard ass and like is all business, but is secretly just like the snarkiest person, and it only really comes out when she's with this ridiculously goofy guy, so you can see it kind of bleed through in her. I think she plays that snarky badass line really, really well. So I love her casting.
Absolutely. So going up the action here we were talking about, would you have wanted more weird science as a focus of the movie, or do you think the action heist genre works better for Ant-Man?
I still think it works better. I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of science, but I mean, you're there for goofy shenanigans.
Of course. I'm of the mindset that I would like to see a more weird science focused kind of thing. I don't know how you do it and still make a movie like this fun, but I wouldn't mind seeing something with a more scientific, but still really batshit weird kind of focus. I don't know what you could do, maybe like an adventure exploratory kind of thing, but something along those lines would be kind of cool to see.
I mean, who knows? They might subvert expectations and like actually have the third Ant-Man be a little more on the serious side.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. And last question, really short. Luis was a lot of fun in the first film. Was he really needed for the second film?
Yes, like Luis is the man. Like to have that team that's solely there for comedic relief. I like them. I like them, and of course when you get the whole drunk history. So one time I was at my sister's quinceañera, and this dude came at me and was like, "Yo, hey, what?" Da, 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 da. That I love that, and I'm glad that they carried it over from the first movie, and I love that they kept interspacing it with like cutting out and Walter Goggins like, is this dude serious? And T.I. is like, man, when you put a dime in the jukebox, you gotta let the whole song play out. You just gotta let it go. I love it.
Yep, indeed. I think I could have done without him. I don't think I'm not saying I don't want him, but if he wasn't there, I don't think I would have been too upset. I don't know if they would want to carry that over to a third film. I think they've done the joke 3 times total, twice in the first, once in the second, and I don't know if you want to repeat that again. Unless they make another weird, goofy, like, subversion of it. I don't know. I'm very curious to see if they play it.
I think we'll see it if Ant-Man and Wasp gets a third movie. I think we'll see it, but I think it'll definitely be changed in some way, or it'll come after something like really, really like serious happens and be like, okay, we're going to hit you with this joke. It's something familiar, and we know you guys love it. It's funny. Just take your mind off the fact that Peter's dead. Please.
All right, that is it for the discussion portion. Let me just do a quick shout out to the mailbag. Again, you can go to Tumblr, Twitter, or Facebook to reach us out there and tell us how many drinks you've taken so far or will take by the end of this podcast. We would love to know the actual number, because I am sure as fuck not going to go back and count them all out. And if you have any other quantum-based questions you want to ask us in this crazy quantum realm we're stuck in, be sure to email us. Ryan, what is that email?
That is quantumwaterfalls@gmail. I'm sorry, that is evacstation@gmail.com.
I like it. And of course, make sure you tell us what your favorite Marvel movies are. We'd love to hear you guys tell us about that. And be sure to tune in tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. I've got my schedule mixed up. Tune in next...
It's Quantum, don't worry about it.
It's Quantum. Tune in next week when we talk about Captain Marvel. And then, of course, the week afterward, it comes Endgame. And we might have a bonus episode somewhere in there for you guys, just because we thought we'd have some fun with it. No promises. We're working on something with that right now. So, with that, Ryan, it's time to return to the last segment of these Infinity episodes, which we have not done in such a long time. Are you ready?
Oh, man.
It's time to bring out the list, where we rank all of the MCU movies from best to worst. Right now, our bottom list is at number 19, Iron Man 3, with number 1 currently Avengers: Infinity War, which took the top spot last time by a pretty solid vote from 3 of us here. So, Ryan, of this whole list, where would you place it? And do you want me to send you a copy of this list so you know what we have to work with?
Yes, please. I meant to ask you to do that earlier because I am a professional. But I've had half a bottle of wine and I forgot.
Got it right there for you. So I'll read the list out loud to everybody who's listening, because I'm sure everyone's going to be a little curious because they can't see it like you can, Ryan. So I'm going to start from the bottom up. I've got number 19 as Iron Man 3, then Incredible Hulk, then Thor Dark World, then Iron Man 2, then Thor 1, Ant-Man 1, Captain America First Avenger, Avengers Age of Ultron, Spider-Man Homecoming, Iron Man 1, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War. Wait, did I write Infinity War there? I think I just meant to write Avengers there. I think I just auto-completed the thing. Hang on, let me edit that. There we go.
Avengers 1.
Avengers 1. Then Captain America Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange. Number 5 is Guardians Galaxy 2. 4 is Civil War. 3 is Black Panther. 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy, which held on to that top spot for a long-ass time. And then number 1...
Really did.
And number 1, like I said, Infinity War. I think I might know where I want to place it, Ryan, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, this is actually made a little bit easier by seeing the whole list, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it can't crack that.
It's definitely not going to crack like the top 6 for sure. It won't get there.
It's really not. No, it's really not.
Hell, the top 10 is a hard fought amount.
Top 10 is hard. In fact, I don't think it is top 10, to be quite honest. I would honestly put it either right between Cap 1 and its predecessor, Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it definitely improves on
what Ant-Man 1
it definitely improves on Ant-Man 1. It takes the proof of concept and it takes it further. It's definitely different than Ant-Man 1, and I'd say I enjoyed it at a very comparable level. In all honesty, I want to have Ant-Man and the Wasp share a spot, to be quite honest, because I think they do. I think they're both very fun films, and I think they speak to different audiences. Like if you enjoy heist movies more, you're gonna like Ant-Man 1. If you enjoy kind of just like comedic free-for-alls, you're gonna enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I think they're both pretty equal. But since we got more Wasp and we got Walter Goggins, I'm gonna put it at 14.
It's a really hard one to pick, too, because I agree with you. I don't think it beats Captain America First Avenger. That is definitely the bar that it can't pass. But whether it's above, below, or right on par with Ant-Man's a tough one for me, because, like you said, I would say that Ant-Man 1 has more focus on what it's trying to do, but Ant-Man 2 has more things that are interesting in it, and it's hard to really say what's better. I would say, overall, if we're gonna... So we have a lot of criteria for this list that we don't really get into too much detail. We talk about the movie's quality, we talk about the actors, we talk about the story, all that stuff. But the one thing we always talk about that's the Achilles heel of a couple movies, which bugs me a little bit, is how it connects to the universe overall.
Yeah. Oof, yeah.
And I think that Ant-Man 2 connects just a little bit better. Not a lot better, but that post-credit scene is just enough to really connect it to everything a smidge better than the first one. The first one has a cameo from Falcon, and you might think it wins, but it's a cameo. It's not the end of the world. But having this set up for Endgame, and I would be willing to revise this if Endgame really lets down on that a little bit. But this sets up really hard for Endgame. So I would say it's a step above Ant-Man, but just barely a step above.
Mm-hmm. So are you putting it at 14 with me there? Are we in agreement, sir? Nice.
I'm going to type it in right now, and hopefully it'll let me do it. There we go. Looks pretty right there.
Oh, no. What? I just realized that I need to start thinking about where Captain Marvel goes. Oh, no.
Well, Ryan, you just allowed me to segue into our little closing segment here. So everyone, thank you for listening. Next week is going to be Captain Marvel, where we're going to rank that on our list. And then between that and Endgame, I propose to Ryan, and it depends on time and what we can do, but we might do a bonus episode where we not necessarily re-rank them, although I am open to that. But we've been doing a scoring system of the gold, silver, platinum for all these movies, and I thought it might be kind of fun to just go back, reminisce on each of them, and kind of just give our own individual ranks for them, because I would say, Ryan, you would agree with me that the overall ranking we have here does not match your personal ranking, correct?
You've made good arguments along the way. I would have to. I'd have to take a look at it. But yeah, I'd say my personal ranking was probably going to be a little different.
I would agree too. There's some that are lower than they should be for me, and some that are higher than they should be. And I would definitely like to reshuffle it personally. So I think giving our own individual takes on them at one point wouldn't be a bad idea. Just so everyone knows where we individually stand on it. But
yeah.
That might be something we cover in a bonus episode, so keep an eye out for that if we do it. I'll try to announce it when it comes around to it. We won't record it for a little bit, but thank you all for listening, and tune in next week for Captain Marvel, and then we'll finish this up with Endgame. Until then, we'll see you after the credits.
Bye!